Good evening. Hopefully everything is good to go. I think it is. Happy Sunday. I'm going to let Facebook give you a minute or so to let you know that I've gone live. Looks like I'm live in the right spot. Just going to check my settings here. I'm having some set up issues with my overhead camera, so hopefully by the time we flip around everything will be good to go. So hopefully, I'm just gonna get rid of some of these things here on my desktop. Hopefully you had a good weekend. If you're here in southwestern Ontario, we were delighted with a little bit of snow, which was, I don't know, depending on who you are, it's kind of nice. For me, I haven't raked any of my leaves yet, so it's kind of the push to get going on that. But maybe I'm not alone. Have you raked all your leaves? Are they still on the ground? Do you leave them? This is a controversial part. Do you leave them and rake them in the spring? Or do you get them all cleaned up in the fall? I feel like I'm always late to rake my leaves, and then people tell me you shouldn't rake them anyway. So let me know what you do below. Hi Debbie, nice to see you. So anyways, I was full of crafting inspiration this weekend. So if you saw my posts, I was taking part in the online Stampin' Up! Convention this weekend called Onstage. Onstage is usually an in-person live event, but due to the pandemic, it has been virtual for the last 2 years, which has been really nice for people like me who may not have been able to attend, worldwide events. So it was nice to be able to attend in the comfort of my own craft room. It was full of life. It was, I don't know how to describe it. The mojo is back and flowing. That's all I can say. I was super inspired to get into my craft room and create, which was great. So at Onstage, you get to see lots of stamping presentations. There's talks. There's new product, which is always fun. New techniques or old techniques that are revived and you've forgotten about. So it was a great full weekend of inspiration and just a whole lot of fun. And so part of what I'm showing tonight is actually inspired by what I saw during the weekend. And it also came about because of something I was thinking about. And so maybe you'll relate when I explain that. But anyways, I do want to flip my screen around so you can see my table and we can get crafting. But before we do that, if you are new to my page, my name is Jenna Moore. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in London, Ontario, Canada. And every Sunday at 7:30, I go live on my Facebook page and share with you new products, techniques, just things that I'm working on in my craft room. And I love sharing that with you. So let me flip my camera view around. And I'm just going to tell you about a sale that's coming up before we get started. So Stampin' Up! Is having a seasonal sale from November the 16th to the 18th. And I think this sale is a great opportunity to stock up on essentials as well as grab some items that might be on your wish shopping list. So you'll be able to save 10% off cardstock, 15% off ink pads, and 20% off of dies in the annual catalog. So it excludes dies in the mini July to December catalog, but anything in the annual catalog will be 20% off. So I was looking through my catalog today to look at some of the dies that I've highlighted as my wants to see which ones I'm going to pick up during this sale. Cardstock is always great if you are an avid crafter and go through a lot of cardstock. This is a great time to stock up because you're getting an additional 10% savings on that, and the ink pads are 15%. So if there's any colors that you really love that you don't own yet, this is a great time to get in on those. If you are shopping online, which you can access my online store by first heading to my blog and clicking on the shop button. When you place an online order and it's $50 or more, don't forget to use this month's host code, which is featured here. When your order is $50 or more and you use the host code, you receive a loyalty reward from me. This month it is an ink pad in your choice of color. So don't add the ink pad to your order. That's a separate gift for me. So you just need to follow up with me and let me know which ink pad you would like as your free gift. So as I was saying, I was inspired by things that I saw during Onstage. And Onstage focuses on the new January to June 2022 catalog. And so none of it was holiday inspired because there's no Christmas, fall holidays in that catalog. But it got me thinking about Christmas cards that I still need to make and how I will need to mass produce Christmas cards. So if you're like me and you have not started on your own personal Christmas cards, which I know might be hard to believe, I make Christmas cards all the time. I have a pretty good stash, but they're not the ones that I am sending out as my sort of annual Christmas card. So I need to make, a good amount of cards, and I want to do them efficiently. So one thing that I was reintroduced to were challenge blogs. And so if you're not familiar with that, blogging is completely new to me. If you've hung around for any amount of time, you know that I just started a blog this year. It's been quite the learning curve, to say the least. But Freshly Made Sketches is a website where they provide weekly sketches, and you can participate in a blog challenge where you create a card using this sketch. You use the keywords, and don't ask me about the technicalities because that's not my strong suit. But anyways, there's a weekly challenge. You don't have to have a blog to participate in the challenge. You could, if you're at home crafting and you're low on mojo, then you could check out Freshly Made Sketches. You could subscribe to them and they would send you the sketch every week. And so this is the sketch, I believe, from last week. I actually pulled up two of them. I think this is the current one. And so, again, don't ask me the technicalities. I believe you have until Monday to participate in this challenge. But this was the weeks before. And when I looked at that, I thought, that would be a great sketch for a Christmas card. So I started playing around with this sketch, and a sketch doesn't have to be exact, so it doesn't have to look exactly like this. It's really a starting point. And so I have created cards using this sketch that don't require a lot of product. So if you're looking for a sketch that for a card you need to mass produce, this is a great way to do that. So keep this sketch in mind as I show you a couple of samples, and then we will work on one of them together. So not using a lot of supplies, the first ones, actually these samples that I've created before we get to crafting, I made these two. So you can see they're different, similar papers, and I'll show you the pack of paper this comes from. Similar idea, I've used similar measurements, but it's not exactly how the sketch looks. So the point is the sketch is the starting point, and you take from that what you will, and then create your cards. So the designer series paper I've chosen for both of these cards, I'm gonna grab my paper here, is the Whimsy and Wonder designer series paper. This is one of my favorite papers in the mini catalog because it's got this iridescent detail. I think you can see that on the camera view here. And it is non-traditional Christmas colors. So pinks, light greens, and this iridescent. So it's very pretty. I've used quite a bit of it, and these are the coordinating cardstock colors for it. So this is available in the July to December catalog. And so I've chosen two patterns of that paper. This one, I'll zoom in here so you can see. So this one is soft succulent trees with the iridescent on there. and this one has the pinks in it. These are actually ornaments on the designer series paper. And so the designer series paper does most of the work for you because it's got that nice iridescent detail. You don't have to add a lot to it. So I pulled out the Whimsical Trees, I believe is the die set. And so I did a couple of trees on this card here, and this paper, if you're wondering, I'm going to use it on my other card, is the 6x6 metallic paper in the annual catalog. So you get sheets of the rose gold and the gold paper. It's so beautiful, and it's got a really nice sheen. So I've used two of the tree dies from that set. And then on this one, I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up. This is another one of the dies from this suite. So the designer series paper and the dies and a stamp set are in this suite. And you probably won't be able to tell, I used Wink of Stella on the tree here, so it just adds a little bit more glitter to that. And I added a couple of rhinestones here. This one I didn't add any embellishments at all. I just did a couple die cuts and good to go. And so the stamp set I used on both of these is the stamp set I'm going to show you tonight. This is the Christmas to Remember. This is my favorite sentiment stamp set in the current July to December catalog. I feel like every year I pick a sentiment only stamp set from the new catalog, and I use that to create my personal Christmas cards because I like to have a verse on the inside. So I like to pick a stamp set that has verses for the outside and the inside so that it's one set good to go. So this is the one I chose for this year, and I'm really enjoying the fonts in this stamp set. So my samples tonight I've created with those stamps. So this one here I've done in Misty Moonlight, Blushing Bride is the color of the pink cardstock here. And then on this one I stamped in Smoky Slate, and the cardstock is Soft Succulent. So tonight I'm going to show you a different one of these cards. So something more in a traditional color palette, so reds and greens, using the beautiful Painted Christmas designer series paper. So if you haven't seen this, this is the designer series paper pack. So there are 24 sheets. There's 12 sheets. Yes. 12 sheets. I had to think about that. 12 sheets, 2 of each, and these are the different patterns that are in there. So this designer series paper is hand painted, and then they take a photograph and then produce it into the paper. So it's very beautiful, all traditional sort of colors for Christmas, reds and greens. So I've used that on my sample here. I've pulled in some of that the brushed, I don't know if it's called brushed metallic. I feel like that's not the right term for it. But otherwise I haven't used a lot of tools for this card. I've used a couple punches and one color of ink, some paper, and then you're good to go. So this is a great sketch for this doing this type of card. You know, something that doesn't have to be super fussed up. It's, you know, simple and yet beautiful. So let's get started with this. I'm realizing that I didn't write down my measurements, so you'll have to bear with me as we muddle through the measurements. This one I know off by heart. This is a basic card base. I use this all the time. It is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This is Crumb Cake, which is a nice neutral cardstock to go with the designer series paper, because that's really what we want to feature here. So I've pulled in some of the coordinating colors from the designer series paper. So this is Evening Evergreen, and this is where you'll have to bear with me. This is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Piece of designer series paper is 3.5 by 4 3/4. That one is easier. This piece is real red cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 2 inches. And then I have a scrap of basic white, which we are going to punch and then stamp. And then I have that gold 6x6 specialty paper from the annual catalog. As you can see, I've already used some of it. I'm using one ink color tonight, which is Real Red. This is sort of your traditional Christmas red. So if you don't currently own any ink pads and you're looking for traditional Christmas colors, my suggestion would be Real Red. And it coordinates with the Designer Series paper, so that makes it super simple. I've grabbed one of the stamps from this Christmas to Remember stamp set. And then I've got 2 punches. So I'm not even using my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You could do this at home if you don't have a die cutting machine. It's super simple. I've grabbed 2 punches. This is the, I believe it's called Label Me Lovely punch, and that's in the annual catalog. And then this is the sprig punch. This has been around for a couple of years, but it's one of my favorites for using at Christmas. So let's get started assembling the card. So I've got my bone folder here. I'm going to fold it in half and use my bone folder to burnish that edge. Hi Michelle, thanks for watching. Love your DSP displays. Oh, thank you. Actually, this format I learned in a training session that was done by Genevieve Coe and Zara Premji, who are demonstrators in Markham, Ontario. So I can't take credit for this, but it is a beautiful way to display the Designer Series papers. Okay, so we have our card base folded, and so then we're ready to assemble some of the pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is stamp the greeting. So you could either stamp and punch or punch and stamp, because in this case there's enough room for the stamp to fit on. So normally I would say if you are doing a die and a stamp that coordinate together, you are better off to stamp and then use the die cut, because to die cut an image and then stamp and try to line it up sometimes becomes impossible. So in this case though, because it's a greeting, I'm going to punch first, get rid of that, and then I'm going to stamp. So this label could go either way. It doesn't really matter. My preference is for the label to go this way. I think it really depends on what it is you're going to stamp on it. So I'm stamping in Real Red with the greeting that says, may this be a Christmas to remember and cherish. This is really my favorite sentiment from the stamp set. Okay, so we're done stamping. So one stamp and then done. And then I'm going to take the Designer Series paper, and you could use any side you want. Oh, and I've made a big smudge, so I'm definitely gluing this side down. But the great thing about the Designer Series paper, it's double-sided, so you can choose whatever pattern you want to focus on. So I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal and then glue this down. I left a very small border. It's only a 1/8 inch border around the outside because, again, I really want to feature that Designer Series paper. And then again, I am gluing this down right in the middle of the card. So there we go. And then you could do some stamping on this banner if you wanted to, but I like the just the red going down because we're gonna have the sprigs coming out on the side. So I don't want to add too, I don't want to make it too busy. Okay, so there we go. Now we're gonna cut out these sprigs. So, and this paper you could use not just for Christmas, but there's lots of different, like an anniversary card would be great with this gold detail. Lots of different ways you can use metallic papers. Now, to get these on here, I'm actually going to glue them on the back of my label because I find that's easier for me to figure out the positioning of them. Because they're sprigs, it doesn't really matter which way they're pointing. And then to give the card a bit of layering dimension, I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals here. Just pop this up from the card. Move the backing. And then flip that over, and I'm just going to put it right in the middle of this red banner here. Now if you had some red rhinestones or plain rhinestones, you could add those to the card as well, just to give it a little detail. But I'm pretty happy with the way this card ends up turning out. So as you can see, the 3 cards that I've done with this, I'm going to zoom back out here, with this sketch are all a little different, using different products. So the great thing about a sketch too is you don't have to have a specific product. You can use whatever you have in your craft stash and put it together to create a beautiful card. So I did want to show you these because, especially this one, as I said, you don't have to have the die cutting machine. So, you know, grab a couple punches and some ink and some paper and you're good to go. Right now, Stampin' Up! Has a starter kit special. So if you're not familiar with the starter kit, it is normally, it's $135 here in Ontario, and you get to choose $165 worth of product, plus you get a paper pumpkin kit that's sent to you as part of your kit. And in Ontario, there's no shipping, no tax, and that's a great deal if you have a lot of product on your wish list that you are looking to get. I'm just grabbing my sheets here. So I just wanted to show you, if you know me personally, you'll know that I'm a numbers person. So I wanted to put pen to paper, so to speak, and show you how great of a deal this is. So when you buy the starter kit, you are joining Stampin' Up! There's no obligation to hold classes or run a business. We have lots of happy stampers at Stampin' Up! So on stage is one of the benefits to joining with the starter kit, because those are exclusive events you get to attend as being a member of Stampin' Up! Not only that, you get a discount on your future orders for at least 3 months after you join, and there's no penalty to drop. So if you decide, you know, to get the starter kit, and at some point you decide you need to end your membership, then you can drop that and there is no penalties. So that's a great the great thing about Stampin' Up! There's no obligation, no pressure. So anyways, back to my numbers. What I wanted to show you is, if you were to buy this stamp set and the block, which you need a block for your stamps, because you need at least one block to mount the your stamp. So the D block actually works pretty well for most size stamps, and it works for all of the stamps that are in this set. So the D block, 2 different inks. I only used one on my card tonight, but perhaps you want to have 2 options. 3 colors of cardstock, which I've used here: Crumb Cake, Evening Evergreen, and Real Red, and a punch. So you don't have to have the sprig punch. You could just purchase one punch. Most of the punches for labels are $24, so that's why I put that there. It's $122 before tax and shipping. When you add the tax and shipping here in Ontario, it's $151.65. So if you were to do this as part of a starter kit, these are all the all the items I listed on the previous one. You could add Stampin' Seal, dimensionals, one of the open weave ribbons, which I don't have in front of me. So, and the reason I say the open weave ribbon is because there are 2 different colors, soft succulent and evening evergreen, which would coordinate with this card. I've actually run out of evening evergreen, so I can't show you that one. So that ribbon is $9.50. You could add a pack of basic rhinestones, another ink pad, so you'd end up with 3 ink pads for $165, which is the total of the amount of products you can choose in your starter kit. You can't go over, so I did pretty well in trying to figure out what would give you the most bang for your buck. Plus you get a paper pumpkin kit, which is valued at $30. That's $195 worth of product, and you're paying $100. I don't know what else to tell you. That's almost a 50% savings. So normally it's $135, and you're getting $195 worth of product. This is a steal. I don't think I've ever seen it for such a great deal right now. And again, if you live in Ontario, there's no shipping, no tax on that $100. So it's $100 flat, and you get all of those products. So that would be a great way to get all the supplies you need to create your Christmas cards. And not only that, you're getting the discount that you can use on future orders. So that deal, I believe, goes till the end of the month. I forgot to look that up. If you have any questions about that promotion, let me know. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this card sketch tonight. It just goes to show that, you know, if you're stuck on an idea of how to create a card, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just look up a card sketch. There's lots that you can choose from on Pinterest. I'd highly recommend checking out Freshly Made Sketches because they give you a new sketch every week. And you can use that to create different cards using different products. If you have any questions about any of the products that I've used in tonight's video, please let me know. If you are watching on YouTube, I would encourage you to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, it would be so helpful if you would share my video for others to see. Otherwise, have a great night. I hope you have a good week and take care. Bye now.